If there were rafters here at the StubHub Center, they'd be hanging from them and probably doing kip and pull-ups. It's a packed house on hand here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Game. Heat 2 ready to go.
In lane 10, currently in 20th place from CrossFit Intensify, Ben Stoneberg. In lane 1, currently in 19th place from CrossFit Grandview, Graham Holmberg. In lane 9, currently in 18th place from CrossFit Rage, Jordan Troyan. In lane 2, in 17th place from Reebok CrossFit Reykjavik, Frederick Aginius. In lane 8, currently in 16th place, Lacey Kovacs. In lane 3, in 15th place from CrossFit Bellator, Justin Allen. In lane 7, in 14th place from CrossFit 204, Tyson Takasaki. In lane 4, in 13th place from CrossFit West Cobb, Daniel Petron. In lane 6, in 12th place from CrossFit Chambly, Albert Dominic LaRouche. And in lane 5, in 11th place from CrossFit Extreme Athletics, Neil Maddox.
The 10 athletes for heat number 2 on the floor. I'm Sean Willett alongside Bill Grundler. Back-to-back events here. Events 11 and 12, the Sinkos. And right in the middle, Neil Maddox in lane 5. A man who can move some weight here.
Neil Maddox, he absolutely, we've talked about it all weekend long, needs to have something happen. This is an event that he can do well at. He's a very, very strong, powerful athlete. He's seen a deadlift pistol workout before at the 2010 games. He did pistols in the regionals. He's great at muscle up. So I'm looking forward to some big things from this guy, and I really hope for his sake it works out in his favor.
In lane 8, Lacey Kovacs. Right next to him in lane 9 is Jordan Troyan, the CrossFit Games rookie.
A rookie, but man, I'll tell you what, it doesn't seem like he's a rookie. He's always seemed to squeak his way into the top. He's having an absolute great time. Every time we talk to him, he's a big smile on his face. He's just so excited to be here, and it's not bad being a rookie and actually having a first place in an event.
Sinko 1 is underway. This is the 11th of 12 scored events. These men will go through event 11, Sinko 1, and event 12, Sinko 2, back to back. It's the Sinkos.
Sinkos. Right away we start off with these deadlifts. Right away we start off with the deadlifts, and they're just hammering them out right there.
Annie Thorisdottir, the 2-time CrossFit Games champion, cheering on that man. Frederick Aginius, her boyfriend. Thorisdottir won the CrossFit Games in 2011, won them again in 2012. She's out this year with a back injury.
Again, look at the way that these guys are holding the weight. If they haven't practiced this, it's going to feel really, really awkward. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Holding it in the front just like that, or exactly what Neil Maddox is doing, up on his shoulder.
The time to beat belongs to Lucas Parker in this event. The Sinko 1, 4:29.9 seconds.
Right there, Frederick Aginius is actually making the same face that's on that kettlebell. But again, holding it in a good position, keeping that foot up in front the whole time, not allowing it to touch the ground until he's fully opened up with his hips.
These men need to complete 3 rounds of 5 deadlifts at 405 pounds. And then 5 one-legged squats holding that kettlebell that weighs about 53 pounds. They have to do 5 on each leg. 3 rounds of that. Then, that's not bad enough. They have to handstand walk 80 feet to the finish line.
Wow, you can see a lot of these guys, some of them are choosing to drop after each rep. Guys like Justin Allen right there in the middle of your screen choosing to go unbroken. Neil Maddox is looking strong this whole time. Again, he was doing individual reps on that deadlift, but you know, just whatever you need to do, because I think when everyone's throwing everyone off is the pistols and how you're going to decide to do that. But
Graham Holmberg in lane number 1 currently leads. Holmberg, the 2010 CrossFit Games champion. He comes in 20th place overall here in 2013.
I was talking to Fred Agidius earlier, and one of the things he was worried about was any heavy weight being pulled off the ground. He himself has also had a back injury, so he was a little worried about this, but he's doing fine on those deadlifts. But right there, Graham Holmberg is hammering those deadlifts out.
Graham Holmberg on the left of your screen is your leader. Tyson Takasaki is in second, along with Fred Agidius, Daniel Petro, and Neil Maddox in the middle of your screen on the box on the right.
I think
429.9.
I think Neil Maddox actually was watching Lucas Parker and how that worked out for him, because Neil's doing the exact same thing and making those look easy. Again, that's 53 pounds per single leg squat that he has to take care of.
Graham Holmberg now in his third and final round of weighted one-legged squats. He's taking a break. Neil Maddox moves back to the barbell. He's trying to chase down Tyson Takasaki for second place. 100 points are on the line here in the Sinko 1. Immediately after this, the athletes reset and they go after the Sinko 2. Another 100 points on the line there. These are the final 2 events of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games.
Looks like Graham actually kicked the bar there out in front. Now again, what they need to do is get that hip crease just below their knee. You can see right there, Frederick Agidius is fighting that bar, setting up for the pistols. Let's see how, right there, Graham is able just to get below that, but you can see his heel starting to come up just a little bit. He doesn't want to go down any lower than he needs to.
Holmberg is now done with his one-legged squats. And now it's an 80-foot handstand walk down that lane towards the finish line. This crowd at the SumHub Center coming to life and coming to their feet to cheer on the 2010 Games champion as he makes his way down the floor.
Now I think Graham Holmberg is smart. You can tell he's been down here on the court before in this hot California sun. He's got some gloves on his hands, protecting himself from that black mat. Extremely smart move in his part.
Lucas Parker has the time to beat a 429.9. The 2010 Games champion may not get that, as he is now back on his feet. He has to re-kick up into that handstand and make his way to the end of the floor and then run across the finish line. And it looks like Lucas Parker will stay in first place in the Sinko 1, the 11th of 12 scored events here on the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. Holmberg is back on his hands. Neil Maddox, meanwhile, in lane 5 is on his hands, and Daniel Petro in lane 4. They're making their way down the floor. Graham Holmberg getting ready to finish. And the 2010 Games champion is in. Holmberg a time of 4:45.9 seconds right now. That puts him in second place in this event behind Lucas Parker.
Neil Maddox is actually starting to have people chase him down right now, but look what Neil's doing. He's hanging his feet overhead. What he's trying to do is get a little bit of forward momentum. The interesting thing about handstand walks is not all about your shoulders. It's about midline stability. We talk about that whether you're on your feet or whether you're on your hands, and that's exactly what he needs to do there.
And Maddox was not done. Both hands need to clear the mat, so he has to get back in a handstand. Meanwhile, in lane number 10, Ben Stoneberg gaining ground. Maddox is in. Stoneberg falls. Now just about every athlete on his handstand walk. Stoneberg is done, and he will get through. So Maddox a time of 5:19.3, and Ben Stoneberg at 5:27.1. Frederick Agidius now your leader on the floor. He and Lacey Kovacs battling it out for fourth place. And now Lacey Kovacs is down, and Frederick Agidius is down. Agidius took a look at Kovacs, got back on his hands. Now Kovacs is back on his hands. The two men from the European region. Agidius gets himself across the finish line, and he will edge out Kovacs. So Frederick Agidius finishes fourth, 5:55.4. And here comes Lacey Kovacs. Kovacs is in. He gets a time of 6:04.8 seconds. In lane 6, Albert Dominique LaRouche from the Canada East region in the gray shorts. He is done. He crosses the finish line. So Albert Dominique LaRouche a time of 6:16.8. Tyson Takasaki having trouble. He's off.
Again, if you haven't tried to do a handstand walk when you're exhausted, you should give it a try sometime. These guys want to come in, they want to finish, and sometimes they just get ahead of themselves. The hands go out in front, they're not able to move forward anymore.
So Tyson Takasaki comes in with a time of 6:30.1. Daniel Petro trying to close out event 11. And remember, these guys aren't done. They only get a 1-minute break once the 7-minute time cap hits, and then they reset for the Sinko 2, the 12th and final event here at the CrossFit Games. Justin Allen in lane 3 will not finish, so there is a 1-second penalty for every rep you do not complete inside the 7-minute time cap. So Justin Allen, a time of 7:02 flat. Graham Holmberg doesn't chase down Lucas Parker, but he does win heat 1 in the Sinko 1. Neil Maddox behind him and Ben Stoneberg in 3rd.
Look at that. Ben looked great. They brought him back, though, and a lot of people, they saw that light at the end of the tunnel, kind of reached out there a little too soon. All the judges were calling back. Good call by the judges.
Neil Maddox.
Great job. So strong overhead, hanging his feet to keep that forward momentum as much as he could. Just looked nice and strong on the handstand walk. But wow, Graham Holmberg really made these deadlifts look easy. Absolutely cycling through those. Looked solid on the pistols, and then was able to make his way all the way through to the final.
2 of 3 heats are down. Now it's time to start the Sinko 2. And now it's on to event 12, the Sinko 2.
So the
3 rounds of 5 muscle-ups and 5 deficit handstand push-ups, followed by an 80-foot overhead walking lunge with 160 pounds on a fat bar.
Again, all these guys have seen these movements. Muscle-ups are no surprise, nothing out of the ordinary for these guys. They aren't broken up like they were in the regionals. They've all done deficit handstand push-ups. This is a pretty hefty deficit handstand push-up. So you're going to see all these guys keeping. I don't expect to see anybody doing any strict handstand push-ups at all. They'll rest on their head, really use their legs and their hips and their feet to explode upward to get them up to lock out their arms.
Graham Holmberg is already on to his 2nd round. He's currently your leader. He won the first heat. The time to beat once again belongs to Lucas Parker, 6:42.6. Holmberg trying to chase that down. Now it's Albert Dominic LaRouche, Neil Maddox, Jordan Troyan, Frederick Agidius, Graham Holmberg, and Ben Stoneberg all on their 2nd round of muscle-ups.
Again, these guys want to go as unbroken as possible. The last thing they want to do is hit a time where they're so tired that they actually start failing a movement, whether it's the handstands or failing the muscle-ups. We've seen it before where guys like Jason Khalipa actually got into a deficit handstand position, exhausted himself, and actually failed over and over and over on the one. These guys do not want to do that. So they're going to take, just like what Jordan's doing right there, resting on the ground and then locking out after that kick.
Neil Maddox moving up and trying to challenge Ben Stoneberg for the top spot in his heat. Jordan Troyan's battling Albert Dominic LaRouche as well. 6:42.6 is the time to beat.
Again, these guys all want to make sure that when they get up on that ring that they're going to be locking out all the way. Same thing with the handstand push-ups. You see Frederick Agidius resting at the bottom, trying to conserve his shoulders. Ben Stoneberg looking great, a nice solid lockout at the top of those rings, trying to use that momentum on the way down, go right back up into his kick to get back over the top of the rings again.
Stoneberg getting set to close out his 3rd round of muscle-ups, and it's 5 more deficit handstand push-ups. Then he'll have to pick up that barbell, put it over his head, and lunge another 80 feet back down the floor to close out the event. The time to beat belongs to Lucas Parker, 6:42.6. 100 points also on the line here in the Sinko 2.
So something that we haven't really discussed, at least in the earlier heat, the absolute shoulder just devastation that's going on in this particular section of the workout. The Sinko 2 is all about shoulders. That shoulder pain that you feel when a lot of us do muscle-ups, that coupled with a very hefty deficit handstand push-up, and then having to lock weight out overhead, it's an absolute onslaught of that whole shoulder joint.
Neil Maddox trying to challenge Ben Stoneberg for the top spot, and now Maddox is going to pick up that fat bar and go 80 feet the other way. Maddox taking some time to put on a belt as he takes a look down, and that man, Ben Stoneberg, both of them through their 3 rounds of muscle-ups and deficit handstand push-ups. And now the challenge is the fat bar. They have to put it in front, just like Ben Stoneberg did there, and put it overhead. Then they have to start the lunge. We saw in the last heat some negative no rep because they actually put it on the back, put it on their shoulders as if you were going to back squat it, and then put it over their head.
Yeah, they're going to keep, the judges are making sure that they're going to keep it to the front. Again, it's a nice little just kind of kick in the butt, you know, added issue they have to deal with. Ben Stoneberg, real strong. His background is a lot of powerlifting, so he's a real strong athlete. But again, when you have a guy that looks like a superhero like Neil Maddox right next to you, you know, it's tough. You want to hold that bar up as long as possible. Ben has yet to put it down. He's looking solid right now.
Ben Stoneberg, currently your leader. He's on the upper left at your screen. Neil Maddox is taking off the gloves and taking a pretty sizable rest here. And that tells you just how difficult these movements have been in these back-to-back events. Neil Maddox, one of the fittest men on the planet. You know when you see him resting, it's a legit event.
Yeah, I think this is definitely legit. There's absolutely a little bit of a struggle going on here.
It is appropriate that those demon bells have been used because I think this event was conceived in one of the pits of hell because I want no part of anything like this ever.
Extremely demonic. You can see, again, a guy that looks like Neil Maddox is so strong, so powerful, where he's resting this much. He's absolutely fatigued. Again, this is the 12th event over the course of 4 competition days that these guys have had. So high amount of volume, a lot of work that these guys have done. It's absolutely insane.
Now Graham Holmberg on his walking lunges. In lane 6, Albert Dominic LaRouche in the gray shorts in the middle of your screen. He's on his overhead walking lunges. Lucas Parker has the time to beat. Just got in underneath the 7-minute time cap. It's in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. And Neil Maddox and Ben Stoneberg are trying to chase that down. Stoneberg, the upper left-hand corner of your screen. He is currently in first place. Everybody here in the tennis stadium on their feet just about as they cheer on these two athletes as they are getting closer and closer to the finish line. About 90 seconds to go before we hit the 7-minute time cap. Graham Holmberg working through those overhead walking lunges.
Now again, the judges are looking to make sure that they open up that hip all the way at the top. So as they're coming through, they can't keep their hips low, their knees bent, their hips, you know, slightly bent. They have to make sure everything is open. The knee is locked, fully extended. It doesn't sound like that should be very difficult. However, again, this is a lot of weight. You can see how much these guys are struggling. There's actually a full body quiver on these guys. So it's not an easy job for these guys to contain that midline stability and open up all the way on every rep.
Ben Stoneberg has the weight back over his head, and he and Neil Maddox are inching closer to the finish line, but it's Neil Maddox who once again puts the bar down. Ben Stoneberg has an opportunity to catch him there. Lucas Parker still has the time to beat at 6:42.6. And here comes Ben Stoneberg. He can put himself in first place through 2 heats. If he can hang on to this bar, he has 20 seconds to beat Lucas Parker. The crowd on its feet as Ben Stoneberg is starting to struggle, but he doesn't drop the weight. He just re-racks it. That is huge, as he will not have to pick it up again. Here comes Neil Maddox. Neil Maddox trying to catch up with Ben Stoneberg, and Ben Stoneberg has the weight down. He's taking a break, and now Neil Maddox will take over if he can complete that lunge. That's not going to count, so Lucas Parker is still your leader. Maddox got so close. Now here comes Ben Stoneberg back on the bar.
Now right there is the problem with this bar. It's a fat bar, so you can't wrap your thumb around it. That right there will result in missing reps like that, or pulling it off the ground. It gets very difficult.
So Neil Maddox barely missed getting inside the 7-minute time cap. Crossing the finish line counts as a repetition, so he ends up with a time of 7:01, puts him in second place overall in event 12, the Sinko 2, and Maddox is absolutely spent.
Again, his games are over. That was through all 12 events. You can see how exhausted these guys are. They've kept that fight the whole time. Finally allows to just absolutely relax.
Ben Stoneberg had the lead here, then had the drop as he tried to rack the weight, and that opened the door for Neil Maddox.
But even at that, look how close Neil got. You can see his arms started to buckle a little bit. He didn't come fully off the mat, so they made him do another rep, and that's so rough. The very last step when you have to come back, man, that is the hardest thing to have to deal with.
You don't get credit really for almost.
Almost doesn't count for CrossFit games.
They do not. Maddox barely missing getting across the finish line and getting it inside the time cap. So the Sinko 2, the 12th and final event. A lot of ties as plenty of men were stuck on that overhead walking lunges, but it's Neil Maddox who got the closest. 7 minutes flat for him.
You know, I love the fact that these workouts everyone tries at home, I can't wait for people to try this. It is going to smash people. That was a lot of work right there for these guys.
The men have faced the Sinkos. It's the women's turn next. Lucas Parker sits on top of the event for the men. Will he stay there? We'll find out later. The women are next. Stay with us.